starting to feel like that kid again where I'm getting antsy. I'm starting to envision that drive down to Levi Stadium. I'm starting to envision walking through the gates, getting into my seats, watching the teams warm up 35 minutes before kickoff. I'm starting to envision the blue bomber jet or whatever they're going to have fly over Levi Stadium for after the national anthem. I'm starting to get a little giddy here about the playoffs on Saturday.
I'm here for it. I mean, Packers-Niners, to me, for a lot of individuals, it's your childhood, and depending on how old you are, whether you're in your 40s like you and me or in your 30s like Lubman or in your 20s. I mean, these two teams have faced, this will be the 10th time in 30 years.
Wow.
It really is crazy that they've met this much. The New York Giants, the Vikings, the Cowboys, depending on who you talk to. I mean, these are some of the common opponents that they faced over their history in the playoffs. And to have 10 matchups in 30 years in the playoffs, I mean, that's when these rivalries are forged.
Yep, no doubt about it. And we're scarred from a lot of them. Although the Niners have won 4 straight against the Packers in the playoffs, it's those uniforms, it's the cheese heads that conjure up memories of mine that weren't swell in the 90s. This really wasn't. They owned the 49ers, owned them. But now things have flipped. Of course, with Kyle Shanahan, but I'm thinking about those young wide receivers. I'm thinking about Bosa, and I'm thinking about Juszczyk, just setting the tone physically here on this Saturday night. Now, you know what? We were talking before the show. We're not talking what ifs. What if this happened or what if that happened? We're going to keep a positive mind frame here. The red paint is in the end zone. The saloon font's in the end zone. The Niners should win this football game. Now, how do they win it? You got to play mistake-free football. Obviously, you got to set the tone at the line of scrimmage. You got to win in the trenches. But this opportunity that the Niners have is everything we envisioned on the first day of training camp, Shasky, when we talked about the journey. What did we say one of the goals were? Home field advantage. Bye week. You don't want to go on the road. You don't want to play 3 games in the playoffs. That was the tone we set the first day of training camp when we talked about this journey. Well, now we're in the last leg of the journey. And home field advantage is ours. Home games are ours. And we're just that close to Las Vegas, Shasky.
When you've been knocking on the door for as long as the Niners have, during the Shanahan era, right? You win 2 playoff games, 3 of the playoff runs that you've been in. Yep. You've been to a Super Bowl, and you've lost in just some frustrating ways.
Right.
Quarterback knocked out. The whole team falters in the Super Bowl in the fourth quarter. The whole team, but the quarterback falters down in SoFi Stadium. Like, those are tough pills to swallow. Yep. Go back to the Harbaugh era. Same thing. What's funny, though, is that as frustrated as we are with the Niners themselves, Packer fans hate our guts.
Yep.
I don't think you realize that they view the 49ers as one of the main reasons Aaron Rodgers doesn't have more than 1 Super Bowl.
Yep.
And so, to me, there's a lot of equal hate between the two organizations. And what's weird is that where the Niners are right now, getting to just the divisional round is a huge letdown. Whereas at the beginning of the run now for Jordan Love, Packer fans are like, oh, this is all gravy. Anything we do from here, we're going to have a 5 to 10 year run here.
Yep.
Niner fans are like, you have to advance past the NFC Championship game. Bare minimum for this year to be successful. And it's been wildly successful.
I'm glad you brought that up because something I was thinking about was Shanahan and John Lynch. When they signed on to be the faces of the 49ers, the head coach of the 49ers and the GM of the 49ers, brick by brick is what they said. We're going to build this thing brick by brick.
Forgot about that.
And we don't even say it anymore.
No.
Because there's a lot of bricks here. You got a hell of a brick in Deebo Samuel. You got a great brick in Brock Purdy. You got George Kittle. But this was an expansion team. And the expectations when they got here was just, can we be relevant? Can we just play competitive football? Now we fast forward. They've been here since 2017. It's 2024 now, Shasky. And the expectation, it isn't just playoffs. It's how do we win the Lombardi? What they've done since they've been here to put us in this position to have all these stars, a plethora of superstars on this football team, 7 All-Pros. Hell, we were just looking for 1 Pro Bowler when they came to Santa Clara. We had no idea what was going to happen there, and they lose the 5 games by 3 points or less, 5 consecutive games, and then they make the trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, and the expectations have changed since then. But they continue to raise, and I know other fans are saying, "Man, Detroit, Tampa's on the other side. We're playing the Green Bay Packers and a young team, the youngest team in the playoffs in recent memory. We should be walking into the Super Bowl." But boy, it does feel like as the Packers window opens, as the Lions window is now open. Tampa Bay, we don't know what's going to happen here. On the other side, you got Houston, you got Baltimore, you got KC, you got Buffalo. Those windows are going to be open for a while. We don't know how long this window is going to be open for the 49ers, but it feels like if we could get this one, we could take care of business on Saturday, we take care of business next week, and we get to Las Vegas and finally get that one, it will validate everything that Shanahan and Lynch have built, brick by brick.
Well, and I think the recent playoff disappointments for the 49ers fans has almost held us like hostage to enjoy this season to the fullest. Like, if I had given you this exact same season in 2019 with the loser years preceding it, we would have enjoyed this year more. It felt like during the year we had to pause our enjoyment or temper it because it's like, well, if you don't win the big one, none of this matters. You got to win the big one. It's all about winning the big one. Can they do it in the playoffs?
I think we did a good job though this season. I think we did a good job. Roasters out there,
it's
all the roasters.
Fun way to watch sports.
Yeah, no. I think the roasters this season though, and I think we've done a good job at this as well because we haven't enjoyed. We've been hell-bent on getting that Lombardi. But every week we said, in the back of our minds, we know it's Super Bowl or bust. But damn, how about this offense?
I know.
Wow, look at George Kittle score 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys. Wow, look at Brock Purdy go perfect against the Arizona Cardinals. Wow, look at the perfect passer rating against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Wow, look at Brandon Ayuk. I think we did enjoy this one more so. And then now that we're here, we know what time it is.
But don't you think if they can rattle off some wins here and get to the Super Bowl, at minimum, get to the Super Bowl, you'll be able to take a deep breath and all right, we got to where we needed to go.
Yeah.
Now I can just sink into it because there was a KD feel to what was going on. And what I mean by that is
like that 2019 season where it was
the pressure of if you fall short,
right?
It does, not that it strips all the joy, but it does. It makes it difficult for a fan. I think it does. I think it makes it difficult for the media covering the team because you understand, there are larger expectations. It's a great spot to be in. I'm not saying it's not a good spot to be in, but the organic joy of the first run of 2019 this year felt different. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy it. It just feels different.
See, I actually enjoyed this year a lot because I had to take a step back personally. When we talked about the journey at the Hilton Hotel in Santa Clara, I think we set the tone and said, look, we're going to enjoy every single week. And when they lost the 3 straight games and we had the bye week, I think everybody kind of caught their breath. And then ever since then, wow, going to Jacksonville and beating them 34-3 felt really good. Wow, the way they went to Pittsburgh to start the season felt really good. Wow, Thursday Night Football, you outlasted the New York Giants. Damn, you beat the Cowboys 42-10 on Sunday Night Football. And then you get to the meat of the schedule where you're playing the Philadelphia Eagles and the Seahawks, and they beat them up there on Thanksgiving. I actually, personally, and I'll speak for myself here, I've enjoyed this year, and I've tried to scale back on the whole. In the back of my mind, it's always been Super Bowl or bust. I said, look, they have to get to the Super Bowl, and we've got to win it with all these stars and all the money. However, I think personally, I've done a great job personally of enjoying every single week and enjoying one of the greatest offenses we've had in 49ers franchise history. I've actually sat back and said, you know what? This has been a lot of fun. So I haven't personally put that stress on me throughout the regular season. But now that we're here in the playoffs.
See?
Now that we're here in the playoffs, but I think it's appropriate now to have that focus because we are in that extra season. During the regular season, though, Shasky, I had a lot of fun during this regular season.
I think my trauma, no, I did too, but I'm saying I think my trauma of all the disappointments, it has it scarred me. It really has. And I so want to come out of this era with this coach and this core of guys with just give me one championship. Just one. I don't think I can process another heartbreak.
No, well, I don't think anybody can.
I don't think I can.
We're not going to put that in the stratosphere.
No, I know. I don't mean it like that. But I'm just saying, given everything is aligning appropriately for them to strike now. The iron is hot. This is now. And if you look across the AFC, only one of those teams can make it out.
Yep.
Okay? Only one of them. I fear Baltimore. I still really fear Kansas City.
And Buffalo, Josh Allen.
I fear Buffalo. I fear all of those teams appropriately. It's just I want them to handle business and move on. I do want to contrast the two organizations, though. The Packers and the Niners, at some point this morning, we can go through it. Yeah. They could not be more different.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll get into all that. We'll get into the history as well. But just thinking about the disappointment. So I just want to we think about playoff disappointments.
I mean, losing to the Rams
I don't think
so much.
I don't think I was ever more depressed than losing to the New York Giants in 2011.
That was bad.
Kyle Williams. And I said to myself, I can't deal with this again. And then I did deal with it because they lost to the Ravens the next season. And I said, well, I can't deal with this again. And then they lost to the Seahawks up in Seattle again.
In the greatest play in Seattle sports history.
Sports history. In one of the greatest NFC title games in NFL history.
It was unbelievable.
It was an unbelievable football game that we could not enjoy because we're on the losing end of it. And I've watched that game. That's another game.
I've watched
just
that
like Game 6
at least 20 times.
So Game 6,
legitimately,
Giants Angels. I've only watched back one time in my life.
I watched it during the pandemic again.
It took me
when Dusty flips the ball to Russ.
I know.
And God bless Dusty. Felix Rodriguez.
So that was the only time I watched that game back.
Really?
I'll make an admission. The NFC title game between Seattle and the Niners, I haven't watched that entire game back yet.
Really?
That one cuts me deep.
The fourth quarter alone, I've watched on YouTube, where the clock and all the issues with I've watched it over and over and over and over.
I'm sorry, Shasky.
Michael Bennett killed us.
I can't stomach it.
Cliff Averill.
I can't stomach it. That was rock bottom. But you say we can't handle another heartbreak. Well, you know what? We did down at SoFi Stadium, where every Niner fan. You asked Rocco. We saw Miles in San Francisco afterwards. We did a video afterwards. We all hugged each other.
I know.
We were full out hugging each other, saying we'll have another shot. And you know what? We did get another shot. We're in Philly last year.
And the thud of that game, the finality of that way to lose, to lose that way, that one, it left a horrible taste in my mouth.
But you know what, though? And I'm not even going to put it out there, but we know come Monday morning, if the Niners somehow get upset by the Green Bay Packers, which I don't envision happening, but if they do get upset by the Green Bay Packers, it will be the biggest disappointment in Bay Area sports history, and I don't even think it's close.
Wait.
I think it trumps 2016, Game 7 between the Warriors and Cavaliers, because I understand where the Warriors are at that point.
73.
Yeah, but I understand where the Warriors are at by Game 7. Iguodala couldn't play.
And they lost to LeBron.
They lost Andrew Bogut.
Yeah.
Stephen Curry was playing on one knee.
Yeah.
They were done. They were cooked. I talk to Festus Ezeli about it all the time, mentally where they're at. And hell, it was a tie game with 4 minutes left. I can live with that playing against LeBron James. I can live with that. Losing the Super Bowl to Kansas City, blowing that fourth quarter. SoFi Stadium. Game 6, Giants Angels. 2002. Losing to the Marlins, going wire to wire in the regular season.
Jose Cruz
This one right here, with all the stars that we have, if we were to somehow lay down to the Green Bay Packers, to me, it will be the biggest disappointment in Bay Area sports history.